Okay. The next myth. Mediation makes the divorce take longer. So does divorce mediation make the divorce take longer?
No. If anything, it's a lot shorter. It's a lot quicker. I think we've discussed in other topics about the litigation and the attorneys and the court dates can drag on for months, sometimes years, just trying to get in to see the judge, just trying to get the paperwork filed, get your spouse to respond. Mediation, in 3 sessions, if you want to spread them out in 2 months, we can have it finished from beginning to end. And with what your company does, you take that agreement and you file it. And yes, there is the 6-month period of waiting, the cool-off period or whatever, from the time you file till it's settled. But you can easily get it done within that 6 months, if not quicker. But then you still need to wait for that 6-month period to be done.
Yeah, what we do normally is we'll get the case filed for them, get them served, and that service date is the day that everything starts. And with the court process taking 6 months, we like, oftentimes, if we can, get the agreements done within a few months, get it submitted to the court way ahead of time. You don't have to wait the 6 months to submit the agreements.
Right.
In a perfect world, that would work if you could walk up to the judge at 6 months and a day after service and say, sign my agreement.
Yeah.
But there's 2 to 3 month waiting period just because the courts are so busy.
Exactly.
So if they filed their paperwork and they get that ball rolling by getting it served and starting the clock on everything, get their financial disclosures completed, they could almost immediately start mediation, even the same week.
Yes.
And get those, whatever issues they have addressed, come up with an understanding or an agreement, and those come back to us. They end up in the judgment, gets submitted within a month or 2 of the whole process starting. And so it's actually much quicker to do mediation.
Quicker. And then
if you need help coming up with those types of agreements.
Exactly. And I think that once you make those agreements and you go through the mediation process and then you use your company to get those filed with the courts in a timely fashion, they can then sit back and start the healing process and move on. In a litigation, they're in limbo for months, and there's no time to sit back and okay, what am I going to do next? What are my next steps? And when they get those mediation agreements in place and everything filed, then they can say, what is next in our life? What can we do with our children now? What can I start looking for a new person in my life? Is there something we can do as co-parents starting now, even though the 6-month period isn't up, and the mediation allows that to happen quicker?
And in comparison to litigation, or even using attorneys, even if they're not going to litigate, even if they just want to have an attorney address their needs and they're going to eventually broker a deal for each of them, that takes longer simply because the way the process works, and I've worked at a law firm for a couple of years, is they'll write a letter to the attorney. The attorney will talk to their client. They'll write a letter 2 weeks later with a response. And
it's on the attorney's timetable, not the client's timetable. When the attorney gets to it, when the attorney sends the letter, when the attorney has time to respond, in mediation, you come in when you have a chance. You come in on your timetable. We get this done on your timetable.
Right. So yeah, it's since sky's the limit if it's litigation. I mean, it could years. We've seen cases take years for litigation. So mediation definitely better time-wise.
Much quicker.
When going.